Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders, and you're not. Welcome to the guy who founded it, and I'm a Kentucky Colonel. I'm not sponsored by them or endorsed. So until that day happens, I'll say that every time we do a live or something. Maybe I won't. Maybe the point will get across. There's a disclaimer in the channel. But they don't endorse or employ me to do any of this stuff, so because I'm related to the guy and I have inside information about the family, and I want people to remember the Colonel for truth and who he was, not for the misinformation that's constantly spread about him. I want his memory remembered accurately. I do the stuff that I do. So. Because I don't work for them now, I can't tell you a lot of the current things and answer a lot of current questions about the brand, like why some aren't open, why some locations have public listings that say something different in different regions. I can't answer all that stuff because I don't work. They don't employ me to tell you that stuff. It's a good opportunity for them to, but they don't do that. So I can only limit myself to what I do know and what the history is. Appreciate the trash on. Hope you had a good holiday. Piano quit staticking. Are you a KFC worker? What's with all the bots today? Just like Instagram. I think Instagram actually shows you the comments that get filtered out, but you have to click see hidden comments. On YouTube, I got them filtered out so viewers can't see them, but they pop up for me at the bottom. I don't know if my moderators can see them. I don't actually see any of my... I used to be able to play that. That's about all I can do on that, because I haven't been asked to play that in years. You either know me or you're actually challenging me. Let me redo that. You're new here, so you actually challenged me. That's one of my favorite things to actually play on this. Play higher, you got... I bet you Kentucky Fried Chicken has never had a piano kind of deal. No, I'll take that back. They did have a musical commercial a few years ago, but I don't think they actually had the Colonel playing the piano. Hello. Seems the bots are finally gone. Unfortunately, that means a lot less viewers. But it's fine. I'd rather have real viewers than bots sitting in the chat. I can't even see my viewers' comments. I got 60-something thousand on there. And I don't see my viewers' comments on live because when the bots start rolling through, they start spamming comments into the live. And it's usually something that has nothing to do with the content that we're doing. And I can't interact with my followers on there, so I won't go live on there because of the bots. I hope that doesn't become the case here. The moderation tools seem to be pretty good. Turkish, hello. I don't believe I've had viewers in Turkey before comment, so hello. This live, we will be doing little chit-chatties and music. We do gaming lives almost every night. Took off for the holidays. Oh, my piano has a speaker going out. That's unfortunate. Rush E? Oh, okay. I can't do that. I know what you're talking about. I've attempted it. I'm not at that skill level yet. I know chicken. I know how to play the basic piano. Turn the static off for a minute. A good cup of Joe. But I do plan on learning that someday. I do. I don't know if I could turn you a little bit more where you can see. I wish this green screen thing behind me worked. On TikTok Live it works. And on Instagram I can make it work, but on YouTube they don't have the option to green screen the back of you when you're live from your phone. I think that's sad. They've been pushing these kind of lives more, but I figure I need to interact with y'all more than just gaming. And the shorts. So Phoenix, is that your name, Phoenix? I got you pretty far away from me where I can't really read. If you're new here, and give you a rundown of the channel, if I convince you to subscribe if you haven't already. For 10 years, my friends and I have used this as a gaming channel. We do gaming, and we still do gaming to this day. The video started on a tablet with me recording the TV, and then we evolved from there. And just about 2 years ago, I started integrating the family history content on here, which I never really talked about much. We did one news interview, and I put a few complaints on the internet about the KFC ads and how they disrespected Uncle Harley. And Uncle Harley is the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken. He's this dude, the dude on the box here. That's my 3 great uncle. I come from his brother Clarence. So anyways, on TikTok, there was a lot of misinformation spread around about the Colonel. And most of it was that he owned slaves and was racist. Now, I learned that there are some bots that spam comment things like that, which I do get on here sometimes. But at the time, I was new to the internet with having attention on it. Not new to it posting, but new to having attention. And I responded to every little thing. I still do occasionally, and you'll hear me pop off, but it doesn't seem to bother nobody. So, someone said my uncle was a slave owner. Well, he wasn't. And I decided to put my suit on and make a video about it, talk about that. And it went viral on TikTok, and I was like, okay, so people are actually interested in the family history more than my gaming content. So I guess I'll just talk about the family history because I like it. I'm interested in it. I want to learn more and don't mind teaching other folks. Because for 8 years, the brand was putting ads out that kind of disrespected Uncle Harley. And people were forgetting who he actually was. It wasn't the brand's goal to do that. Their goal was to not make Uncle Harley's name forgotten. But in the process, they turned him into a caricature, not a man. So I wanted people to know who the man was. And my TikTok went viral on that. So I decided a couple of years ago when they started shadow banning me on there to put the content on here. And Instagram, people were interested in it. And then I learned people liked the gaming content on top of that. So we integrated the two together. Here we are, I'm playing piano and we're gaming and it's fun. We'll see where the channel goes. I have 300,000 on TikTok. I'm hoping to at least reach that on here. It's always been a goal of mine to be one of the next biggest YouTubers, but I don't know if I'm ever going to get to that point, but I'm not going to stop trying. Piano Man? Anyways, that's who I am. I'm a Kentucky Colonel. If I was just related to the Colonel and not a Kentucky Colonel, I wouldn't be dressing this way, wearing the facial hair. If I was just related to him. The only reason why I started dressing this way is because I was commissioned a Kentucky Colonel during my time of talking against those ads. I finally did get to talk with the brand, and though I don't work for them, I want to work for them. I don't work for them right now. We did make up, and we're in good standing. So I have nothing against them anymore. They have welcomed me into several groups to learn more about how their corporate system and how their franchising system works in regards to what I should know as somebody who wants to see how Uncle Harley's legacy is being continued in the brand. I don't work for them, so I don't know everything. Before we made up, I tried working for a competitor, which my cousin started, Lee's. It didn't work out too good. I mean, my performance with it worked out great. We got a lot of attention for it, and it helped build up my pages to where I am now and show that I can sell chicken. And well, the social company didn't want to pay me. The company itself, Lee's, didn't have the money to pay me, they said, which I think is bullcrap. But the social company knew that. They withheld that information from me and knew that I was too nice and naive, so I would continue doing work for free. And eventually I stopped it, so you won't see me advertising their locations anymore. But you will see me talking about it, the history. I know what my worth is with them, and once they decide to work with me and I see a good offer on the table, then we'll get to talking about carrying Uncle Harley's legacy within the brand through the family. Right now, we're just doing it through my pages to make sure that it's accurately and respectfully remembered, rather than a stripper, rather than people saying he was a slave owner, rather than saying he was a racist, rather than saying he was a very bad man, which he wasn't. He wasn't perfect, but he wasn't a bad man. And Jesus loves you too. Try this. I'm not going to turn you away for saying that on my page. Like Uncle Harley, I'm religious. I may not be jump over the tables like Uncle Harley was religious, but I am religious, so I won't turn you away. I won't turn anyone away based on their beliefs, but if you say it on my page, I'm not going to turn you away, regardless what it is. We all have a right to it. In the end, it's between us and our Maker. It's not my place to judge. Why do you feel bad, Phoenix? I'll play a song that you want. You like playing piano too? I play by ear. So nothing I play is right, in other words. Oh, another thing about me, I had cancer as a kid. I was 8 years old. That's what this cup is from. I'm not bringing that up for sympathy. You see me drinking out of this cup. It's from Camp Boggy Creek. Paul Newen, and I can't remember how to pronounce the general's name. I'm not sure if it's Schwarzkopf, but he was one of the astronauts that landed on the moon with Armstrong. They created Camp Boggy Creek for children with serious illnesses so they could spend a week being a kid instead of worrying about their ailments. And I got to go there when I had cancer, so that's where I got the cup. So not even KFC knows that about me unless they watch my page, because I haven't told them about that. But I got quite a story too. Uncle Harley has a cooler story in my opinion, but I got quite a story too. if you're looking at a marketing aspect, I really think that I could do it. But yeah, I ain't going to work for free again. I learned my lesson. I like Ray Charles. I like that kind of music. We got 4 likes on that. Not bad for 5,000 subscribers. 4 like ratio to 5K. Yeah. Alright, we get more. We get more when we go on live on YouTube with gaming. We do it almost every night. just you and I. Go ahead and hit some, shoot me some suggestions at me. Pretty soon when we get enough members and stuff, or enough viewers, I'll start using supers and memberships to have priority over suggesting. But since it's just you and I, it's free. Let's do it. It's a good coffee. Hey, Noah. Umbrella? I don't know Umbrella. Keep shooting suggestions. Eventually I'll know one. Hey there, Delilah. I can't quite get that last part. No, that's just a Christmas song. I went into a Christmas song. No, I can't do that because I don't know it. On the VODs that upload after this, when there is plenty of suggestions and views on those, leave comments on them after they upload as VODs. Because if you do that, I can have a list of songs that you want me to learn to do on the piano. I haven't noticed, on TikTok I'd have like 500 people watching me to play the piano. On YouTube I haven't noticed that my viewers really care for the piano that much, so there's not that many suggestions and I don't know what all to play for everybody. So if you want to see more of it, you gotta interact with the VODs and stuff. Let it push the algorithm, let people know and me know that you want to see it. And it also saves the comments on there, as long as the moderation tools don't block it. And I will try to learn them. We'll do more piano lives. I planned on for the New Year's, I made the music area down here. It's still flood, so I'm not going to play any of my wood instruments down here. But made it a little kind of coffee shop bar area. We got a Lego station over there, and right here's the music area, streaming, recording, and a little booth area there to sit and eat and drink coffee. And so I've been working down here to make this nice, because I do plan on the New Year's every morning coming down here and streaming this. Instead of doing one live a day, we do 2 lives. So we'll start doing some lives at night like people are used to at the games, and then in the mornings for people who don't get to the gaming lives, they get to chat with me a little bit. And I figure that's a great way to interact with the viewership. You guys, anybody who's in the position, I'm not in a very great position, right? I make $100 every 2-3 months off of YouTube ads, and there's people who make $80,000 in one live just on ad revenue after it uploads and becomes a VOD. And so, I mean, that would be great. But lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, everybody that is in that position and my position is only in the position because people are watching. They want to see this stuff. They want to. It's replacing cable, I guess. I don't know. But if you watch my shorts, my videos, I appreciate it. If you want to learn more about Uncle Harley, I got over 3,000 videos on this page, and half of them are about Kentucky Fried Chicken. The rest of them are other things that are waiting to be discovered. Let's see, I'm currently writing code developing. Really? Is this a game you're making or you're paid by Roblox? Do you work for Roblox? Merry Little Christmas? Well, Christmas, technically on the church calendar year, Christmas started yesterday. And it goes on for a few days, I believe. So why not? Oh, yeah. It's cool. I used to design properties for like the Ritz-Carlton. I was just a private contractor. I didn't do all of them. I just did some remodeling work and a few other things. But that business crashed and failed, so I closed it. Yeah, I also used to maintain inventory. My entire time, if you go back to my older videos, older gaming videos, before I wore the suit and a clean shaved face and I had no personality whatsoever, that entire time I was working on inventory numbers on the computer, working from home. I took up about 6 years of my YouTube career. Now I've completely quit and decided to take the jump and make YouTube the main career. If KFC decides to hire me in between that, then so be it. If not, we'll grow my page big enough where they wish that they worked with me. Yeah, it's sad that it crashed and failed, but I tried. It was open for a few years. I tried. It just wasn't getting anywhere. So I really feel my calling to entertainment. I always felt a calling to making content. I just never thought it'd be about family history. And I really feel a calling to Kentucky Fried Chicken, especially after the mud that I went through with them. There's people pull up old things and they'll see a fake lawsuit thing. That was a comedy skit I did to promote their book and also promote the truth about Joe Laddington's recipe. There was no lawsuit. We didn't get that far into it, but they did have me blocked for a number of years on their social pages. They did ignore me for a number of years, and then TikTok grew. And I was getting millions of views on TikTok, and they decided we're going to talk to him. So after 8 years of battling, they finally invited me and my family out to talk to them, and we have an understanding now. They haven't really done anything to disrespect Uncle Harley's name. Now, Canada has. I didn't get to talk with the Canadian team, but they are putting a clown, or were putting a clown in place to play Uncle Harley that just did not paint him in the best light. He looks like an idiot. I could do one heck of a better job than if they hired me to be the global brand ambassador. And I'm talking about commercials and whatnot to promote the brand. They don't need to hire actors to impersonate Uncle Harley. They could have a colonel in his family, and I happen to have the last name Sanders, so there's that. So they could have an actual Colonel Sanders today representing all the branches, doing commercials for all the branches worldwide, and just representing the brand. You don't have to hire actors to pretend. We could accept that he's dead and continue his legacy on through his family doing what he did. I think that's a great thing. And right now I'm the only family member that's interested in doing it. None of the rest of the family wants to have anything to do with it. They don't want to play him. They don't want to be called him. They don't want to work for them. So, and that's fine. I'd like to do it though. I think I got to call on to do it. But they're the ones that are going to have to pull the trigger on that one. I can't force them to do it. I can just show them what I'm capable of. So they choose not to work with me. Okay, we'll build my page up so popular that they'll wish that they had. And when it comes to brand deals, just so folks here are aware, I said this before, I will not accept a brand deal on my channels from anybody that has nothing to do with Kentucky Fried Chicken. If it's Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, they give me a contract. I will not do things for free and on a handshake anymore with them. They need to give me a contract, but I'm more than willing to do stuff with Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. I'm willing to do stuff with Kentucky Fried Chicken. I'm willing to do stuff with Miss Millie's Awesome Chicken. I'm willing to do things with Homer Hot, which is a hot sauce company that Cousin Lee's brother-in-law's family started. I'm willing to do things, let's see, what's another one? With Saucy, the new KFC spinoff. And I don't think Pop's Fried Chicken and Catfish is around anymore. Any of the other small mom and pop shops my family had created after Uncle Harley died. But if it's not a brand that's not related to my family history, and I'm not talking like Shoney's doing something for Shoney's or doing something for Wendy's. My family didn't start them. We were just involved with the founders. So I won't do things with them on here. Well, we'll see how that goes. If they do a merge thing, whatever, maybe. But I'm not going to do like Prime. I'm not going to do random merchandise things or say this video is sponsored by. I know that's how creators make their money. I'm going to rely on your viewership through the ads. I'm going to rely on your memberships and rely on your supers and see where that goes. But I'm not going to be doing these brand deal things. There's too much shadiness that happens with all these other random brands that decide to throw something out there that they try getting creators to sell. And I just got no business selling that kind of stuff. I want to sell my uncle's chicken in the family history. So you will not see brand deals on here unless it's Kentucky Fried Chicken or something related to them. I won't do Popeyes. I won't do Chick-fil-A. I won't do Zaxby's. I won't do any of the other chicken joints. Just the ones my family were involved in. I gotta lean in to read here. My eyes aren't that great. But I found your channel months ago. Did you find me on YouTube, Noah, or did you find me on one of the other platforms? I know some people have followed me over here who happen to see the post saying come to YouTube. Original Millennium Falcon from 1978. No, this is, I got this at Walmart. I think it was when I had cancer. So this was like 2004, 2005. It was right after Christmas. It was $100, or I think it was $300 toy. And my grandfather got it for $100 on clearance. And I've had it, there's pieces missing off it. I'm missing the landing gear. It does make sounds. And it has this little escape pod. I'm missing the windows of that. That's the other thing about this. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Unfortunately, I can't post a lot of Star Wars content because it's copyrighted by Disney. So I can't get money off of the ads there because they demonetize it for that. So I don't post much Star Wars stuff. But I'm a big Star Wars fan. I got a lot of Lego Star Wars. Got a lot of Star Wars stuff. So people will find that I'm very relatable to, which is another reason why the brand should use me. Uncle Harley was a real man. People related to him. He came from nothing. Hardships, hard work. Getting about as low as you possibly can go, and the only way up, the only way out is up. The only other way to go is up. A lot of people related to him and his hard work and just trying to bust their butt to make it. So because he was a real man and people could relate to him, you know, that's also part of the selling factor. Not just his suit, not just his ties. People could connect with him. And he connected with them too. He also didn't hide his temper. He was no corporate shill. So I've been told I'm pretty much the same as him when it comes to that. So I could bring in a lot of Star Wars fans into it. You know, in the 1990s, they had a Star Wars commercial for Kentucky Fried Chicken. The actor that was playing Uncle Harley had a blue lightsaber. He was with the Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. And it was a promotion for the Phantom Menace. Concerning hobbits, I could play that on the Lie Harp, but I'll try it. You found me on YouTube. Cool. I like to know where people found me from because, again, bigger following on the other platforms, but I think most of my followers on here came from YouTube themselves. Maybe you followed me on another platform, whoever's watching, but you found my page on YouTube. You didn't find it through the other ones. But it took me a while to also accept that the viewers we have on like Instagram, 60,000, TikTok with 300,000, are not the same viewers on YouTube. So the folks that followed me on there only followed me for the history content, right? They didn't know I did gaming content, so that's not what they followed me for. That's not what they're looking for. That's not what their algorithm was going to show me with them. So it took me a while to accept that. If you had a choice to make a change about a current fried chicken restaurant chain, what would that be and why? Okay, with all of them, they're advertising online, not the television ads. I'm talking about online. They hire these marketing teams, like Lee's hired Stoneward. Stoneward does all their marketing. Now, television ads, great professional. The online ads are very corny, cheesy, and cringy. They do not tell me to go buy their food. They said this is a really trying to reach page that is not going anywhere, which is why I did all the I did a lot of free marketing on my TikTok page for Lee's. I saw how they were doing. They had 1,000 followers. So for TikTok alone, we're not even going to mention the other pages. I got them from 1,000 followers to 12,000 followers. So I had an impact on that. But I was talking as a real person, telling people to try my cousin's chicken because it's still made the same way. Now I did, before I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken in Corbin, I was going off of my other opinions and said KFC doesn't do it the same. My family, Lee's, is the only one that does. That sold a lot of people on going to try it. Well, the chicken was still good, just as good as it was before. But when we went to Corbin Kentucky Fried Chicken, after a year of me saying that, Corbin proved me wrong. They had some really good food, so that told me to go try other locations. They had some really good food. So the problem is you got to find the right franchisees. But in order to get customers, you have to have good marketing. And they just don't have good marketing today online. Now, yes, the television ads, great. Minus changing Uncle Harley. I'm just talking about the food. Okay, that's good. I see that. It makes me hungry. I want to go get the food. Online, they try to be too... They're like the father trying to be cool when the kids' friends are over. It's like, I'm hip, I'm far out. It's just very cringy. A lot of dad joke memes. And that's not what sells it for me. So I think online, like the things that I do, talking with customers about the food, talking with customers about the history, engaging with them like that, or just having a real person, like the KFC has a really good one called the Colonel's Test Kitchen. And Seth is in there. I don't know Seth's last name, but he shows people behind the scenes in the kitchen. Shows you different meals you can make at home with your leftovers. He shows you how they cook the chicken. And that resonates with people online and makes them want, hey, I want to go get the food. That kind of advertisement's good online. That's what I would do. Now with Lee's, they don't do that. They post images with text over it. And they overuse the term famous. I know it's a big thing. Lee's famous recipe chicken. Well, they use famous a lot, and they put famous and Lee's in front of, like, let's leave, and they spell leave Leeve. It's just real cringy stuff. Like, who? This doesn't sell me the chicken. That just makes me want to go away. And that's what I would change. All of them. Wendy's is pretty good because Wendy's, whoever the admin there is, can really pull off the memes. Lee's is trying too hard. KFC ES is a little over the top, but people like it. The KFC US page has just started rolling out the Colonel's Test Kitchen, which has been really good with advertising online. Lee's, that's the one that would really change, is the overuse of memes that are not funny and they're trying to be funny. They need a real person. They should do something like the Test Kitchen, show them how to do the stuff online. Again, television ads, get the point across. Online posting ads, you have a real person talking to the real people watching, right? And here I am giving all these ideas for free, and they're probably going to use them and not hire me to do it. Hey, Josh, are you Jewish? Happy Hanukkah to you. If you are, I did not know that. Have you ever thought about making a longer video about modern fast food marketing? I have not. I've made short videos talking about it, but I have not thought about doing a long form video on it. I've made long form videos diving into the recipe, diving into the history, diving into the family lineage. I have not thought about doing one about marketing. That'd probably be good, but people will see this one. Yeah. I did make a short form video talking about how it feels fake now, but yeah. That'd be good. Make a video about it, get a lot of ad revenue off it, give all these companies free ideas that they're going to use. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Start seeing my ideas being integrated. That'd be fine, though, too, because I would like to see that change happen. But if KFC did that, which they're doing it with Seth, I think I could do it better. Seth does it pretty good. Put me and Seth in, I think he's in Louisville. So, yeah, I'm 2 hours away from there. So, put me in there with Seth. We could tear up some chicken. Just saying. They want to use the Colonel in marketing. Yeah, I could bring it to life. Catching up. You might have answered this before, but why do you feel Harlan sold KFC? He was getting too old. Uncle Harley sold Kentucky Fried Chicken because he was too old. He figured $2 million would be enough to last him and his wife the rest of their life. Well, he donated a lot of that $2 million, and they went back to rags. Took him years to go from rags to riches, and it only took him a year or two to go back to rags. And he was living from his salary of $40,000 a year being the spokesperson, and then he was up to $75,000 a year when he was put on the board of directors of Food and Quality Control. So that was his paycheck that he got. Prior to selling Kentucky Fried Chicken, he was leasing his pressure cookers when he was first franchising. So he made money off of the lease, off of selling his franchise. You got a nickel for every whole chicken sold in a meal, plus the deal that he made with leasing his cookers. And then they started making the cookers for the restaurants to own. And he no longer made the rent money off of leasing the cookers. And I think that actually happened after Winston Shelton, or Shelton Winston. I can never remember which way his name is. That happened after he invented the Clutch-O-Matic fryer. But yeah, Josh, Santa was good to me. Christmas was good, Glacier. How was yours? So, in regards to selling it, Brown offered to buy it before, and Uncle Harley refused. He did not want to sell it. It was his baby. It was making him the money that he needed to survive. And, I mean, he wasn't in it for the money. At that point, when he had enough money to sustain himself and his family, he wanted to make sure he could serve the best food possible to the public. It wasn't just, ooh, hello, I like money. No, it was, he liked the money, it was nice, but he also wanted to give back to the community, and he wanted to make sure they were served the best product possible, especially if his name was attached to it. He didn't just want the money and then screw all of you. He wanted the money and he wanted to earn it. So he wanted to make sure you got the best quality possible. Well, the corporate system was starting to emerge in America around 1964. And he did not like contracts. He did not like all these legal agreements and papers that were federally set into place where he had to abide by it. It was becoming too much for him to handle with how many restaurants he had. I think he only had over 3,000 restaurants across the world at that time. We're at over 25,000 locations worldwide, mind you now. I say we're. I'm not part of the company, so I can't really say we're, but you might as well be. So, with it expanding the way it was, he couldn't handle it. So he decided to sell to Brown and Massey, and they had an agreement that his recipe would never change and they would never strive away from his quality. Well, they started to strive away from his quality after Thank You for the Gift. I actually see it this time, Glacier. They tried to. Brown and Massey cut corners and started changing the recipe and making things cheaper for production. In the process of doing this, they expanded the restaurant so much that they were able to sell it for $240 million years later. I think it was about 7 years later. Uncle Harley didn't know how stocks worked. He didn't want to invest in stocks, so he said no. Jack C. Massey tried to get him to invest in them. He said no, he wouldn't do it. So he didn't make a penny off of that sale. And he felt left out. He didn't understand how it all worked. So having that mindset, knowing that he didn't understand how that worked, you could understand how he didn't understand how the corporate system was starting to work. So they made the agreement, they changed the stuff on him, and just before Brown sold the company, Uncle Harley threatened to go on Johnny Carson and tell people how bad the food had become and how he believes they changed his recipe. So what ended up happening, I don't know how we're on this topic now. I told you why he sold it. It was becoming too much for him. But now we're going to keep going through this. And then I'll make another video later, which will repeat it for the people who don't see this. So he threatened to go on Johnny Carson. So what happened? Jack C. Massey already had Miss Winters. He already had several different restaurants under his name. Very successful man. So he resigns. From what I read, Jack C. Massey resigns. They had moved Kentucky Fried Chicken to Tennessee, the headquarters. Massey and Brown. And Uncle Harley told them they needed to move it back and they needed to change some things. So Massey resigned. Brown moved the corporation back to Kentucky. So before it was at Shelbyville, the Black Hall Manor, where the Claudia Sanders Dinner House is. Well, they moved it. Bye-bye. Tennessee. Here we go. Now we're coming back to Kentucky. Beautiful Kentucky. Sorry. So we bring it back to Kentucky. Brown puts the headquarters in Louisville, as the locals say. I was born here, but I don't say it right. I say Louisville. But occasionally I'll joke around and I'll say it stupidly just to upset my family. But that's besides the point. That's our little thing that I do online. Louisville. And he puts Uncle Harley on the board of directors for food and quality control. At that moment, the recipe went back to normal. The quality went back to normal. And that's why you remember in the mid to late 70s, the food tasting better. Well, after the mid to late 70s, Brown decides to sell the company to an alcohol company called Heilblein. I thought it was a condiment company when I first started my research, and I said that inaccurately, but it was an alcohol company. He called them booze hounds. They sued him, and he countersued them and saying that they changed his recipe and misuse of his name and image. They settled the lawsuit. They paid him $1 million to shut up. They had to go back to the agreement that they had with Brown and Massey because that was the contract Uncle Harley had sold, and that contract was sold to Heilblein. So they had to go back to the original. Well, Uncle Harley didn't think it was the same still. And I think it was really the flour that changed and the oil mixture that they were experimenting with that changed the quality of it. So he had 99X made prior to all this stuff for his wife's restaurant, which is what Healblind sued over. And 99X was then given to 200 franchises of Kentucky Fried Chicken. This is where people start getting confused that Uncle Harley gave them the recipe. He didn't. He gave them 99X, which is a variant of the recipe. And people within Mary & Kay have said several different things. On YouTube, they say we pretty much know what the recipe is. I talked with Cordell about 2 years ago now. He told me they don't know what the recipe is, that 99X, Uncle Harley had to give him something to try to figure out what it was. And when Bill Summers created 99X, based off the flavor of Kentucky Fried Chicken, Uncle Harley said that's good enough. It's pretty close to his chicken seasoning. So it's a variant that's close to it, but it's not 100% what it is. Bill Summers was just one of the greatest spice blenders in the world, and he could figure out just about almost anything. So what Uncle Harley gave these people who think they got the original recipe is 99X, because he said, use this, it's better what corporate's making you use. And it was. So he sold it because it was becoming too much, and then all this stuff started changing, and he got fussy over it. Selling out to different corporations, corners get cut, but when he was alive, he was able to maintain it the way that he wanted it. And that's why people from the late 1970s into the 1980s remember Kentucky Fried Chicken tasting different than the early 70s and the mid 60s. They remember Kentucky Fried Chicken tasting like the Claudia Sanders Dinner House, which is why they say it's the original recipe at the Dinner House. It's not 99X. So within those decades, there's been several different changes to the flavor, and it's because 200 franchisees used 99X between 1975 and 1985. Uncle Harley sold the company in 1964, so from 1964 until it sold in 71 or 72, I think it was 1971 to Healblind, 64 to 71, it tasted different because Brown and Massey changed some things. So then they went back. People remember it being really good. Up in Canada, he kept the franchises until 1973. People went to Canada for the original Kentucky Fried Chicken flavor because Uncle Harley had them doing it right in Canada. He sold out in 1973. Not sold out, gave it to charity in 1973. Still operated. He was still overseeing it. He dies in 1980. And then PepsiCo, who buys it from R.J. Reynolds, then gets control of all the franchises. They don't own the franchises. The franchisees own their franchise, but PepsiCo implements things of where they could insert themselves into these franchises and moderate how they operate and what they use. So Uncle Harley dies in 1980, PepsiCo takes over, and their policies start getting implemented into Canada. That's why it tasted different. You guys remember it tasting different. Why do I have all this memorized? In the 1980s, Kentucky Fried Chicken sued Mary & Kay Spices over those 200 franchisees. Now, I was told that lawsuit was dropped because it turned out not to be the recipe. It was different enough that it wasn't the recipe. And they didn't have grounds to sue because Mary & Kay didn't sign a contract with KFC. KFC refused to sign a contract with them when Uncle Harley wanted them to supply the recipe. They said, no, we're using Sexton and Stage. So the people in violation were the franchisees. Now, if Uncle Harley was alive, could they have sued him? Yes. He was dead, so he couldn't be held accountable for it. But that's how those 200 franchisees were in violation and what sparked the lawsuit in the 80s. The lawsuit in the 80s is why people believe that 99X is also the recipe, because there was a lawsuit between KFC and Mary & Kay. Oh, there's all this stuff. I've covered all this in videos before. I've covered it in videos before. And so Kentucky Fried Chicken, you remember the different decades it tasted differently. That's why. We don't know if the recipe actually changed. Uncle Harley suspected it. Maybe cheaper ingredients, maybe different ingredients that taste similar were used that were cheaper. Because he said one of his ingredients was very expensive at the time. I believe that was cardamom, but I can't prove that. That's my own speculation. So he suspected it. He accused him of it. There were lawsuits over it. He threatened to go on Johnny Carson. And in return, he was up $75,000 a year from his $40,000 a year salary to $75,000 a year salary to maintain the quality. So he was able to go to Sexton and Stange and maintain the quality of his seasonings. He was able to go to different franchisees and maintain the quality. People say he didn't have the right to go in those restaurants and say this is slop. He did have the right. He was actually on the board of directors for food and quality control. It was his job to go around the different restaurants and taste test the stuff. And if it was bad, he had the right to tell them to do it different. I don't think it was a marketing gimmick for Uncle Harley, Josh. I think he actually had 11 herbs and spices. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. Play something nice? Well, what would you like to hear? The early 2000s was a lot different too. And I'll tell you why. Their oil changed. Now, I believe they use a canola oil, hydrogenated soybean oil blend. And before that, Uncle Harley started with lard, Crisco, in a pan, frying. Pressure fryer, that's what he used. He switched to vegetable oil because they started saying, well, you can't use lard. You can't use fat. It's not good for you. It's not true. You can. I believe. Don't hold me to that. I don't know if it is true or not, whether it's good for you or not. I think studies came out that showed that using lard was actually better for you. He switched to vegetable oil. So we used vegetable oil. And by the 1970s, we call it the food police, folks. Okay, food police. They came through. They said it's bad for you. The food police came in and said you can't use vegetable oil. So they started experimenting with different blends of oil. By 2006, they came up with the blend. They ran experiments in different franchises to see what was the least amount of different taste, what customers noticed it, what customers didn't notice it, and they came up with the blend they use today. So the oil changed. Now, I don't know when cake flour was stopped being used. Uncle Harley used cake flour. He learned this from an original franchisee of him. They used cake flour. Uncle Harley was very, very strict on using the cake flour. And people would change it to all-purpose flour or breading flour, whatever. And Uncle Harley didn't like that. He wanted cake flour. That's how he made his chicken. I will say it does make a difference. I like both. I used all-purpose flour the last few times I fried. It came out just fine. But when it comes to Uncle Harley, he was a perfectionist. He wanted things done his way. So he used cake flour. I don't know when they stopped using cake flour and switched to the flour they use now. But that also changes the quality. Yeah, if you're very, very photographic memory, have a photographic memory, and you remember what it was like when you were a kid and how different it is now, look at the flour, look at the oil. They do slightly change it enough where it's not the same. Then you got locations that don't turn their inventory enough. They don't drain their chicken enough. They don't let it drain on a rack. They don't keep it warm enough. They don't, whatever it is. You got to do all that stuff so that the quality is good. So there's different factors other than just pressure frying, just deep frying, just draining the chicken, breading it, frying it, whatever it is that you do. And there's different factors that also equal to the quality that Uncle Harley had. So I agree with you. The early 2000s, about 2010, the quality went downhill in Sarasota, Florida. So my family quit eating there. We went to Popeyes. And that, I was naive. I didn't know there's other franchises around the world. I thought they were all operated by the corporate. That based my opinion on KFC chicken. I didn't like it. Well, then I started trying different locations around the country, and I like it. It's better. So some managers might tell you to cut corners. They might say, "I'll just go to the store and get this and use this," or whatever. They'll have you cut corners. Some managers are not good. You need to have good managers to have good employees. Sometimes you have good employees, bad managers, but if those good employees don't do it the way the bad managers say, well, the bad managers fire them. So there's all different factors. Everything needs to play together the way it's intended to in order for it to be good. So early 2000s, I remember the chicken being a lot different than 2010. And when I tried it in Corbin, it blew me away. I don't ever remember it tasting like that, and it was very good. Presque Isle, Maine, pretty good. Central City, Kentucky, pretty good. I haven't been to a bad one yet. Um, it opens your mind when you try different locations and it tastes different than what you're used to, and it tastes better. It opens your mind to all the restaurants around the world. You can't base it off of one location. You have to go around and try some good ones. I like the What's My Line thing too. That was funny. That was before he was famous. Nobody knew who the Colonel was then. He was iconic, of course. You're looking at that, you're like, oh, that's Colonel Sanders on What's My Line. They didn't know that. They didn't know who he was. They had celebrities that didn't know who Colonel Sanders was, and they slapped him there on What's My Line. They had no idea who he was. The company running now, okay, I'm a lot more lenient than Uncle Harley is, and that's saying something because I also have a temper. I like to see things done right, but it's not my place anymore. It never was my place. I just want to see Uncle Harley respected. Right now, he's being respected. That's all I care about. When it comes to him and his business being ran, you can even apply this to Cousin Lee with Lee's Famous Recipe. Both of them would be rolling in their graves right now. If they were alive, they'd be cussing up a storm. With corporate marketing, although I like it's a lot better than what it was, he would not like the marketing. He would not like the food because they're not using cake flour anymore. He would hate it just on that fact. Instant mashed potatoes, he would hate it on that fact. The gravy, he probably wouldn't like how it's made. They used a Clutch-O-Matic fryer. They still collect the drippings at the bottom of the fryer to make the gravy. I don't know if that brown powder packet was around when he was or not. I'm told it wasn't. So that brown packet, I don't think he agreed with that. I think everything needs to be made from scratch in order for him to be happy. Things today have to be made to meet demand, unfortunately. Like Lee's, their honey dipped chicken is not honey dipped anymore. They don't dip it in the honey. They don't roll it in the honey. They have a powdered packet of honey that is put into the chicken. And that's hydrated and it creates the honey flavor. And Lee wouldn't like that. These two men, everything needed to be done by scratch. But then again, when they were alive, there wasn't this many locations. There wasn't this much demand. It was more manageable with the way that they did it. Today, with how many customers come through, with how many locations there are, it's virtually impossible to get every location to do it from scratch. I do know that there are some that do it from scratch. I believe Corbin is one of those, and it comes out really good. But if it's not 100% their standards, they're not going to agree with it. They're going to be mad about it. And corporate can argue that all they want. I know my uncle. I didn't meet him, but I got to know him through the stories. You guys get to know him through the stories too. From the family talking about it, you guys get to know him, like I got to know him. And corporate and Uncle Harley would not get along. It's plain and simple. They had the right idea when they had Darrell Hammond on there. He didn't really portray Uncle Harley very well, but when he said, boy, howdy, how things have changed, they were acknowledging that they've changed the ways that they've done things. The taters are different, the gravy, the quality, the way the packaging with the seasonings, the new owners, the new, like McCormick, who supplies it now, they acknowledge that things have changed in that commercial. And then he goes, it hadn't changed by Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's not how Uncle Harley talked. But it did change. A lot of things changed. Through my research, I don't think the 11 changed. I think they've cut corners and throughout the years have tried to change it, but it didn't work. I believe they still use the 11 On top of, they changed the flour, they changed the oil. And yeah, cooking time, as fryers evolve and can have more capacity, cooking time is obviously going to change as well, because you can't have 20 pieces of chicken cook at the same time as 2 pieces of chicken would. So, hey Red, it's been a fat minute. Good to see you, Josh. Thanks for stopping by. Well, no, you know exactly what I'm talking about then, don't you? Yeah, the company's thought process, and they never hid this. They talked about this. There's QSR magazines talk about this. The thought process over the years with changing things is, what can we change it to be more healthy, and what can we change it to that has the least amount of noticeable change so that people can still enjoy the quality. I could tell you with the original recipe, I've been in the kitchen, there's rumors, people say they don't pressure fry it anymore. The original recipe, they pressure fry that still with the Coletramatic. They're newer models than what was in the 70s, but they still pressure fry original recipe. They do have a deep fryer for the other chicken and the other meals that are made, but original recipe is and always will be pressure fried. They still do that. Excuse me. That's why, again, they should hire me to be their spokesperson and then put me in the kitchens and do tours of it through my page or KFC's page. You know, people see me on their page. I believe more people are going to interact in a better way, and it'd be kind of cool. So I think if they put me on their page in the kitchen, that's what I tried getting Lee's to do, but they didn't want to do it because they didn't want to pay me. And I'm not going to do it for free again. So if they give me a contract and I sign it and we get paid, one, you guys would be the first to know. Two, I'll probably be on their page doing it instead of my page. But I think it'd be cool. It's a good idea. They do it with Seth, and he does pretty good at it. But, you know, it'd be cool. I watched that 30-minute long video a few weeks ago where you talked about the 11. I'm pretty sure you only mentioned 10 since I don't think you... Did I forget cloves? Did I forget to talk about cloves in it? I thought I did. I think I briefly mentioned cloves with nutmeg and... Is it cinnamon? Is it cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves? Yeah, that's what makes up the allspice flavor. I think I mentioned it because I had the 11 in front of me. I had laid them out. Maybe I didn't mention cloves, but I talk about it so much. Talk about this crap so much, I forget. I know I had the cloves on the table though. But I talk about it so much that my brain tells me, oh yeah, that's in it, and then I move on. But oh well. Maybe I didn't mention it. I just said these 3 here make allspice. These 3 right here. But yeah, nutmeg, cinnamon, and cloves. A 1/4 teaspoon I put in of each of those to mimic the allspice flavor. I got allspice from 99X's 1990s packaging. So like I said, it's not the recipe, but we could go buy it. It's pretty close. And I don't know. I'm surprised. I went on that KFC 11 forum. What a bunch of joke those folks are. They had a whole conversation about my grandpa Ed before I started talking about this stuff. I did one news interview. My grandpa Ed pulled out 99X, said this is the recipe, and the news team edited that because he said this is the 99X recipe. The news team edited that, and because I had to go back, I used to think he said it too because when I watched it, my grandpa said, no, I said, this is the 99X recipe. They cut 99X out of that and put, this is the recipe. And because he said, this is the recipe, The KFC 11 forum had a brief conversation about Ed Sanders, whether he was a real nephew to the Colonel and whether he would have the recipe or not. And I think that is freaking creepy. Before I ever started talking about this stuff in the light that I have, that forum stalked and is obsessed. They're like a Johnny Miller of the internet. They are obsessed with my freaking family and every little detail. That is why the Colonel's grandkids aren't online talking about it. That is why none of the other family are out here doing what I'm doing, because they don't want that attention. They like their privacy. And just because my grandpa did one news interview, boom, he's on there. It's part of their history. Hello, Erdy. Yeah, what a freaking joke those people are. If you waste your time on KFC 11 actually posting on that stuff, you guys do have some good information on there, and I like how you broke it down to where you can find what you're looking for. But what a freaking joke. Y'all even fell for the fake recipes that I posted on there. You put it as fact, and then you change it like Anthony likes to troll. And then, yeah, I did that on purpose to mess y'all up because I knew you'd post that crap. But that's the only place I've seen my research put on. And thank you for crediting me on it, but what a joke you people are. Vanilla is not in the recipe, for crying out loud. I don't know what the recipe is 100%. Nobody ever will, but vanilla? No. No. How about no? No. Not happening. So they got some good ideas. There's some people in there with a brain, but it's very disturbing how close it's not because of me, how close they are actively looking for members of the Colonel's family or anything that they could find. Because, again, before I started posting this crap, they were talking about it. They were talking about my grandpa on there. And that means somebody in that forum is watching. It was probably Johnny Miller, to be honest. I bet he's in it. And my phone going to die. My phone's going to die. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not, if you like this content. We go live almost every night. We might do some gaming tonight. I'm not sure. But turn your notifications on, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Yes. If you like the history content, you could go through, watch my shorts and my long form videos. If you have a question and you want to leave it as a comment, and I'll respond to it as a short. Or if you have a question for one of those videos and you want it answered, I'll talk to you in the next live about it. Just make sure you have your question written down if that's what you want to do. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Glacier, for the gifts. And everything and anything, ads, gifts, supers, all help support this channel and keep me doing what I need to do to support what I need so I can continue doing this, keeping Uncle Harley's legacy alive and my own of the things that I do to entertain you. So thank you, and ciao.